Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to SFF180. It is Monday morning, January 29th, and time once again for the mailbag. The mailbag is back. Hooray. I know, still late in the month. These are not nearly as frequent as they used to be, probably just as well. But, if I can get one a month up, that will be nice. What can I say? It's just a very different world, a very different landscape in the publishing business from, 10 or even 5 years ago. Certainly a lot different than it was way back in like the 2000s when I had my legacy website and, just review copies would just come, right? But now it's just, there's COVID that disrupted everything. And then I think the mainstream publishers, the big five, the traditional publishers are just not doing as much. It used to be able to get to several titles a month, and now I think the major imprints, except maybe for Orbit and Tor, maybe they're doing one book a month now. It's actually, if you were to really look at it and, think about it and compare it, you could see it as kind of a bleak situation, a very unsure, uncertain situation. And I think imprints are trying to adapt to that. But what it means is, things aren't the way they used to be, shall we say. But, so even though the mailbags are not the big regular weekly item that kind of keeps content ticking over on the channel, I think that has very nicely been taken up by the Thursday night reading hangouts, which have been a ton of fun. It's nice to now be seeing just regulars coming back every Thursday. It really makes it feel like you're hanging out with friends. And, as you could be going to like the coffee shop in a bookstore, right? And meeting friends and just hanging out with them and reading. It feels like that, at least to me anyway. Plus with trains going by. So thanks to everyone who's joined in for that. And if you haven't joined one yet, there's always room for more. But that is it. Without further ado, let's get into this week's book, shall we? So everything's kind of mixed up in the pile. I'm not really worrying about it, but I think these first two titles have come in from Macmillan. Oh, this is nice to see. The first one of these is the one of the newer books in the Tor Essentials reprint line. This is a book called Night's Weird, W-Y-R-D. The authors are Deborah Doyle and James D. McDonald, who I think like in the 90s were doing a whole lot of stuff. They had this long kind of space opera series, something like 7 or 8 books, called the Mage Worlds saga, something like that. They were very, very prolific around that time. And this, though, is one of their lesser-known titles, which Tor Essentials has decided to bring back. So it's kind of fascinating. I think this one came out just late in 2023, but just to ahead of its time, it says, on original publication, Deborah Doyle and James D. McDonald's Mythopoeic Fantasy Award-winning Night's Weird is a medieval fantasy with the authentic lived-in strangeness of the real Middle Ages. On the eve of his knighting, Will Odison learns his weird, or destiny. He shall meet death before a year has passed. Will rushes north to release his betrothed from their engagement, but on the way, he is beset by all manner of horrors, a man-eating troll, carnivorous mermaids, a magic-working dragon, and something far worse and evil, unlike anything Will ever imagined. So, sucks to be Will, I guess. But we get to see his adventures, and if he meets, his destiny or manages to foil it. But Night's Weird, by Deborah Doyle and James D. McDonald, is now a Tor Essentials release. Okay, and next up, very, very excited to see this, also from Tor in hardcover. I believe this one came out like last week or something, but this is the new novel by Seth Dickinson, author of the Masquerade trilogy, the Trader Brew Cormorant, which, I thought was the best book of 2015, fantasy book of 2015, 5-star book for me. And so that trilogy is now ended, and his new book is a space opera, so completely different sort of thing for him. It's called Exordia, as you see, and let me just tell you what it is all about. It says, Michael Crichton meets Marvel's Venom in award-winning author Seth Dickinson's science fiction debut. Anna Sinjari, refugee, survivor of genocide, disaffected office worker, has a close encounter that reveals universe-threatening stakes. While humanity reels from disaster, she must join a small team of civilians, soldiers, and scientists to investigate a mysterious broadcast and unknowable horror. If they can manage to face their own demons, they just might save the world. So, wow. Yes, sounds very, very much up my alley. But Exordia by Seth Dickinson is now available from Tor. I'm going to try to get a review of this one up really soon. Okay, so now I have a couple here from the Hatchet Group, so probably Orbit, Red Hook titles for sure. All right, this first one up is from Red Hook, and this is a really pretty edition. Unfortunately, there's no sell sheet in here, so I don't have a release date for you. But I'm guessing it's January, or at least February. This is The Star and the Strange Moon. It's a new book by Constance Sayers. 1968, Gemma Turner once dreamed of stardom. Now the actress is on the cusp of obscurity. When she's offered the lead in a radical new film, Gemma believes her luck has changed, but her dream is about to turn into a nightmare. One night, between the shadows of an alleyway, Gemma disappears on set and is never seen again. Yet Gemma is alive. She's been pulled into the film, and the script and the monsters within it are coming to life. 2007, Gemma Turner's disappearance is one of Hollywood's greatest mysteries, one that's captivated film director Christopher Kent ever since he saw L'Étrange Lune for the first time. The screenings only happen once a decade, and each time there is new impossible footage of Gemma that shouldn't exist. Curiosity drives Christopher to unravel the truth, but answers to the film's mystery may leave him trapped by it forever. Yeah, I mean, speaking of Gemmas in the world, this sounds very much like Gemma Files' experimental film, which was a book that just completely came out of left field for me, blew me away, loved it. So strange, so unique. And in the cursed film subgenre of horror, there are actually quite a few books right now, recently as well as coming up this year, on that theme, cursed film novels. But this was one I was not expecting. It was not on my radar, so I'm glad it is now because I'm really eager to read it. The Star and the Strange Moon by Constance Sayers. And next up, we have this one from Orbit. A Flame in the North is a new epic fantasy novel by Lilith St. Crow. This is the first book in something called Black Land's Bane, I believe. Yeah, all right. So sorry, weird lighting in here. Yes, Black Land's Bane, and this is called A Flame in the North. With fire she will rise. Well, let's see what this is all about. It says, the Black Land is a myth. Centuries have passed since the great enemy was slain. Yet old fears linger. And on the longest night of the year, people in the south still light ritual bonfires to banish the dark. In her village, this duty falls to Solveig, a girl favored by the gods with powerful fire magic. But when her brother kills a northern lord's son during the ritual, it is Sol who faces punishment by being weregild, part hostage, part guest, in the north for a year and a day. As she journeys to her captivity, Sol starts to realize that the Black Land is no myth. The forests teem with foul beasts. Her travel companions are not what they seem, and their plans for her magic are shrouded in secrecy. With only her loyal shield maiden and her own wits to rely upon, Sol must learn to master her powers and wrest control of her fate, for the Black Land's army stirs, ready to cover the world in darkness, unless Sol can find the courage to stop it. And that is A Flame in the North. It actually sounds really, really intriguing, by Lilith St. Crow, and I guess it is available nowish from Orbit in trade paperback. Okay, so this one is in from Atria Books, and I initially thought that this would completely not be in the SFF wheelhouse, but it looks like I might be wrong. But the author is Terry Hayes, and Terry Hayes, like 10 years ago, published a thriller that really took off. Called I Am Pilgrim. Some of you may remember it if you read those kinds of books. And it's been 10 years since the follow-up, and now we have the Year of the Locust. This comes out on the 6th of February, and it's described right here. Thanks for the sell sheet. Boy, these are nice. Homeland meets Lost with a touch of The Walking Dead and The Terminator and a taste of Mad Max's post-apocalyptic flavor. So you can just take a second to absorb all of that. But yeah, let's see. So Terry Hayes, who until then was best known as the screenwriter of such classics as Mad Max 2 or The Road Warrior and Dead Calm, took the world by surprise when he released his first novel, I Am Pilgrim. Okay, so anyway, well, apparently this was originally scheduled to come out in 2015, but he didn't finish it. So, talk about, boy, a late deadline. So George R. R. Martin, you are not alone. Oh, here we are. Synopsis. If, like Kane, you are a denied access area spy for the CIA, then boundaries have no meaning. Your function is to go in, do whatever is required, and get out again, by whatever means necessary. You know when to run, when to hide, and when to shoot. But some places don't play by the rules. Some places are too dangerous, even for a man of Kane's experience. The Badlands, where the borders of Pakistan, Iran, and Afghanistan meet, are such a place where violence is the only way to survive. Kane travels there to exfiltrate a man with vital information for the safety of the West, but instead, he meets an adversary who will take the world to the brink of extinction. A frightening, clever, vicious man with blood on his hands and vengeance in his heart. My, okay. Year of the Locust, it sounds, very much like, the big high-stakes bombastic epic. It probably is. I'm sure it's going to be very entertaining. But here it is, out February the 6th from Atria Books. And that's like 800 pages, too. So if you're going to make your fans wait 10 years for your new book, may as well give them their money's worth, right? Make it worth the wait. Final one here. This one is from Harper Collins. Okay, this is very nice to have in finished copy and hardcover. This is a title that is, of course, on my list of anticipated fantasy for 2024, and this is The Book of Doors. The author is Gareth Brown. And yes, cell sheet, yay. Oh boy, it's not a dying art after all. Now, the funny thing is, when I started doing these mailbags, when I started the channel up, 10 long years ago, I got a couple of emails from some publicists. And they were really sweet. They were like, I really appreciate that you read the cell sheets because, we put a lot of work into those and we don't think anybody reads them. It was kind of like, like the big eyes emoji. So I was like, sure. I mean, happy to do it. So, but it was just a fun email to get. So yes, I will read them, but please pack them in there. All right, The Book of Doors, February 13th. This one is out. It charts an imaginative journey that blends a clever contemporary fantasy plot and page-turning action with a mind-piercing exploration of the very nature of time, space, and limitless human possibilities. Just going to skip a bit here. Here we go. Meet Cassie Andrews, a passionate bibliophile working at a Manhattan bookstore where she revels in sharing her love for reading with others. One winter's night, the elderly Mr. Weber, Cassie's favorite among the shop's regulars, breathes his last. Cassie, still grieving her beloved grandfather's death, is unsettled by this loss, and she is astounded to discover the small, odd book Mr. Weber has left behind as a gift for her. The ancient-looking journal bears a curious inscription: "This is the Book of Doors. Hold it in your hand, and any door is every door." Heading back to the apartment she shares with her much more extroverted friend Izzy, Cassie will soon discover the extraordinary power the Book of Doors holds. When she imagines a place, an ordinary door can be transformed into a gateway that allows her to be transported there, across town or across continents. Soon, Cassie is traveling to places she holds dear in her heart, but the normally more daring Izzy warns her to be careful, and those fears play out when Cassie notices they are being followed. Their pursuer reveals himself as Drummond Fox, heir to the shadowy Fox Library, where rare and secret volumes are hidden away. Among these are other one-of-a-kind books with mystical powers, including the Book of Shadows, the Book of Joy, the Book of Flame. Drummond warns her that the Book of Doors, long rumored to exist, is coveted by many less than scrupulous collectors who employ sometimes ruthless book hunters to add to their collections. And of course, he's not one of them, right? In the dangerous race to protect the Book of Doors and keep it and the other secret books in the Fox Library out of evil hands, Cassie and Izzy must decide whether to believe Drummond and help him. Predators quickly descend on the trio. Armed with the Book of Doors and the other coveted volumes, Cassie will squarely face dangers and escape to places she never imagined she might go. And I'll just go ahead and quit there. Anyway, wow, yes, this just sounds like... Yeah, it sounds like a whole Netflix series, doesn't it? But The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown, debut novel from William Morrow, available in hardcover on February the 13th. And there you have it. That's all for this week's mailbag. You guys know the drill. Light up those comments. Let me know which of these looks most interesting and exciting to you, and which you would like to see me prioritize for review. Otherwise, if you enjoyed watching, please slam the like button, share the video far and wide, of course, with all of your SFF reading friends, and above all, please sub if you have not done so. That is how the channel grows. You can also support the channel at my TeePublic store and at my Patreon, where recruits into Wank's Army occasionally get little perks like early access to some of my videos if I finish them in time. But mostly what I use the Patreon money for is to help pay Matt Olson, my wonderfully gifted and talented channel artist who does all of my beautiful thumbnails and things for me. I want to thank all the rest of you for being the very best viewers in all of BookTube, and until I see all of you next time, please stay safe and healthy, and happy reading.